Welcome, guys, to episode 7, maybe? I've lost track. It's lockdown. I don't
Seven.
really know what it is. Yeah, 7 of the Pox and Bill show. We're still amateur. We're still village. We've still got no idea what we're doing. Based on a little bit of feedback from the past few episodes, I'm looking at you, Wirtz. Apparently, I'm talking too much. So for this episode, I'm going to throw it over to Bill over there, who's going to do the introduction for our next guest. Over to you, Bill.
Yeah, well, so our guest today is a bloke that I've played cricket against for at least 20 years. Run-ins, beers afterwards. Never been anything that hasn't come off the field. But yeah, welcome, funky cold Defina.
Thanks for having me, boys.
So, like, we genuinely have been playing cricket against each other since we were much younger men than we are now. And like, the reason you were fresh in my mind, I was, scrolling through some stuff at the folks' house, and I found myself my best bowling figures as 7-fer, and there, right at the very bottom, number 11, 0 next to his name. There is C. Defina.
Oh,
and
that's how it came about. Was that the main ground at Monbulk?
that was at Belgrave. That one. That was a game that I'm still to the day don't think I've ever seen anything like it. That two blokes in one game taking 7-fers. It was
Yep,
Bluey and I.
Yep.
Yeah. Christian Fraser. Yeah, they're taking 7 in reply to my 7, and it was anyone's game at any point. I still actually, to be fair, I've only got one half of the scorecard. I can't even remember who won, but I do remember it was a tight game. I think we just got up over the line in the end, but it was one that got a lot closer than it looked like it was going to at one point.
Did you just get funky on the show to tell everyone you got 7 for, Bill? Like, did you really just get funky on the show to tell everyone you got a 7 for?
Yeah, absolutely.
I rate that really highly. Carry on.
Please tell me I was not out.
I do have the scorecard. We'll make sure we put it in here somewhere with the show. But I actually think you were out. I'm fairly certain that the two not out batsmen for the 2 innings were Bluey and myself.
Not bad. Both boys have had a day out. I do remember the game. I actually get that game blurred with the game that Bluey at Belgrave actually bowled a 14 ball over, and so for a guy that's got the ability to take 7-fer, and then either in that game or another game, missed the pitch 8 times. I kid you not, he missed the pitch.
Well, that was just about the end of his bowling, wasn't it? He disappeared as a bowler for a good stint there.
Well, he can't bowl. Let's be honest. He couldn't bowl initially, and how he got a 7-fer it's just not fair, really. There's some quality cricketers out there that are begging for a 7-fer that have never had one, and he sends down a handful of pies and gets one. Unlike your good self, mate, you actually had a little bit of heat.
I'll take it.
Up then, mate.
I'll take it. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, well, like you've definitely had some spells there of some pretty frightening stuff. But while we're on stories of stupid things happening, you and I a couple of seasons ago had a game, and obviously knowing each other as well as we do now, and the competitive edge that we both have, allows for us to get fired up. But we both know that we're having a beer afterwards. But you also know me well enough that I was batting, and I've got to tell you, you've bowled to me for your 7 overs as we're allowed to down in Div 6, and every one of those 7 overs, you had the look on your face like you wanted to kill me after every ball, but also knew that you weren't going to say too much to me too, and just had a laugh and just walked back to your mark. I was waiting for it every ball. It was a ripper.
No. There's sometimes you've just got to shut your mouth, mate. And I was just actually waiting for. That was at Menzies Creek, and I was actually waiting for you to put me back over the club rooms, because I was coming on from that end, and I thought if I fire the big bloke up, he's going to make me look like a dickhead. So this time I'll just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, it was funny. It was there was definitely uncharacteristic look of restraint after each ball. You could tell you wanted to, but just not yet.
Craig, for your benefit, the very first game that I played against Sean, he would have been, I reckon you were 17, mate. I don't know that. I reckon you were 17. You're still a baby. And
Sounds right.
It wasn't in the village. It was when we were playing a little bit higher. And I don't know why, I was at square leg. We didn't have two umpires. And I was at square leg. Sean was at mid-wicket. And I was out there for about 10 overs. And after about 9 overs, I said to him, "Do you ever effing shut up?" And he goes, "Nah." He goes, "Nah." He goes, "I just talk shit the whole time." And that was the very first game. I came off and went, "That kid did my heading. That kid absolutely did my heading."
Imagine trying to run a podcast.
It hasn't changed.
With him. I will jump in for one bit though. Like, I reckon you're still clinging on to a little bit of Bill from 10 years ago. I reckon you can get stuck into him now. He doesn't bat very much. He doesn't bat very much anymore.
Yeah,
we didn't get to have a go last year, Bill. But hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, the moons align this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're closing in on dates that look like we may get going soon, and yeah, I'm looking forward to a draw coming out and seeing Monbulk written up there in the same draw as us. It's always a pleasure.
Do you know if you put your teams in yet? I might have to keep an eye on that and make sure that I'm playing in the right grade that week.
Yeah. I believe Div 6 will be the way this year. That sounds like a nice little spot for us to meet.
Yeah, that's fine by me.
I'll call it Div 8 for you, Bill.
Yeah.
You're on the decline.
But we've had some wonderful battles, but you've also got to deal with a lot of blokes up there at Monbulk, and you know, as you know, your roles over the years as you know, president and whatnot, you've had to rein a few of these blokes in and you know, keep them settled down. You've got some blokes that like to go.
Yes, we've got some colourful personalities. We've had them anyway. Managed to weed a few out. For some reason, it must be the colours or something like that. But we do attract the equivalent back at times. But yeah, we've had. Well, look, we've got a little bit of a reputation, and we play to win, but we love a beer with everyone after the game. I think, is that fair to say that might be our reputation as a club?
Absolutely, but I've loved every second of it. I mean, we've actually, you know, since we've talked me up, we've got to go back the other way, and I'm sure we've got the video somewhere of a couple of seasons ago. You had a side that was less affiliated, I suppose, with your club. It was a bit of a separate team down there, but Craig decided to take his phone out to Central Umpire and video me getting absolutely skittled. And some double cobra action happening from a young fella down at Monbulk. It was a good one.
Yep. That was. I have seen the footage. Did you take that footage, Craig?
Yeah, I took that. We were obsessed with filming from centre umpire and square leg, and yeah, we'll dig that one out. I'll chop it in just where we were just talking about it. I'll chop it in after this point here. But yeah, it was bloody brilliant. Very funny. That game was full of laughs. Yeah, the young fellas.
We weren't a bad bunch of blokes, those guys.
Yeah, we
Yeah, no, good fellas. We had fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might have been I think that might have been a young kid from memory. I have seen the video. Braden Caldwell. He's BC. He's a quality fella, and yeah, it's the double cobra that's making me think that it was him.
Yeah,
it was definitely him.
Bill, I've got it. I'll go through because I sent it to him on Facebook Messenger. I might have to go back 2 or 3 years or whatever it is, but I've definitely got it still. I just want to take a step back for a moment. Funky, you spoke about, you know, playing hard, playing to win, but loving a beer with the opposition after the game. I want to ask a question because Johnny Lavelle has probably had more beers with Jason Fraser than he has with his own teammates and clubmates. how much do we have to pay you to take Johnny Lavelle off our hands?
Well, we could probably swap. If you guys take Fraser, we could take Johnny.
No deal.
That seems like a great deal on our end.
Look, I've been fortunate enough to play with Fraser. This is my 21st season at Monty, and Fraser was my first captain, and been fortunate. He's a pretty good mate, but it just gets really, really tiresome how good a bloke he is. So I'd be more than happy to have a rest for a season. It'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems fair. I mean, you've got a lot of blokes up there that that you've probably had for far too long. One of which, my little long-eared bunny fellow in Jace Simmons. Simo, again, quality bloke. We've had discussions about here. You've got to have some dirt on him. He's one bloke that needs to be dropped in it at any point.
Well, yeah, Menzies Creek has produced a lot of fond memories for the good old Monty and Belgrave clashes. I've got some funny stories that have come out of from that ground. It's come in from my very first game at Menzies Creek. We're playing against a Belgrave fella. Never come across him again, but he was in his marriage had split up, and he had the kids, and we put the toss up, and he was spewing because we won the toss and chose to bat, but he had his young daughter there. She would have been 2. And he was like, oh, who's going to look after my daughter? Who's going to look after my daughter? And we just said, mate, just go on field. We'll keep an eye out for her. If she needs you, we'll yell out and just come off. But we'll make sure she's okay until, her mum can get here and so forth. Anyway, 5 minutes later, the little girl's running around and we're like, far out, where's the little girl? Where's the little girl? Lo and behold, right in the doorway of the Menzies Creek club rooms, she's dropped her strides and she was having a poo. And we're like, mate, you've got to come off the ground. So
quality.
There was that one. And another quick story was, there's actually a couple of quick ones. This is all out of Menzies Creek. Sorry, I won't labour. I don't know. What's it like at Belgrave? You do roll call? You do roll call before the game? Actually, I've got to be careful here.
Fox is lucky if he turns up at the start of the game, let alone being ready for roll call.
Minutes late, copping a spray from Bill. So, yeah, no roll calls here.
So roll call, yeah. Have we got a G rating? What's our rating? Is it
do what you want?
Go nuts.
So Monbulk tradition, right? Warm up, sitting in a circle, roll call. We call it to clean it up, but basically roots and pulls. So got to let the boys know between when you're knocked off on a Friday, if you've got one away or if you've given yourself one. So anyway, long story short, we had the 2 Mardo brothers playing, and Chrissy's sitting next to Brian, the younger brother, and we get to Chrissy, and Chrissy says, "Yeah, no assisted action, but I got one away on myself." And Brian said, "Hang on a minute, when did you do that?" Because they're living together. He said, "Oh, I did it this morning in the shower." And he said, "I showered after you." So that was a good story. But to top it off, the best story was Willow, being around the life member of the club, running into bowl and shit himself at the popping crease. So,
That's
it's not a good look.
Bill, last episode we spoke about fart at the popping crease. Now shit. What's happening next week at the popping crease? I'm shit scared, literally.
I do have a vivid memory of playing against Orovale and a bloke fielding at second slip gully for most of the day, and every time he bent over, you could see where it went all the way around through. Like it was the whole day, and he didn't come off. He fielded the full day in these pants that you just sat there going like, he's definitely everyone that went out to bat came back and was like, something stinks out there, and it was like, yeah, it's that bloke.
So
terrible.
Yeah, no good. Yeah. So Willow copped it for that. Funny enough, he went off and fielded the rest of the game with no jocks on. But But there's been some, as I said to you, that's all out of Menzies, and we haven't even been at the main ground yet. Like Menzies has produced some pretty good memories.
Menzies is one of those grounds, and I don't know. I mean, there's the hillbilly factor to it. You know, Puff and Billy coming past, giving it a toot every once in a while. But you're so isolated. Like no one's coming past, no one's walking through. You feel like you're amongst friends, and it allows for things to get a bit silly sometimes.
Craig, we do have to talk about. Like I've already pumped him up once, but have you? Craig, sorry.
I was just going to say, the one thing about Menzies that you miss is that true village element, like when you're playing down at Knox and some guy in a VK Commodore screams past, does a burnout and yells, "Hazat." Like, that's the ultimate in village.
You do miss that.
Carry on.
You need to be at Ferntree Gully Footballers for that one.
Yeah, that's the ground.
You haven't played at Ferntree Gully Footballers unless that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely round Commercial Road. You guaranteed. Back in the day too, Dobson used to be a good one for it also.
Yeah, agree with that one as well. But what about 2 seasons ago, mate? The Premier batsman, Bill, you had him on you've got him on your CV. Jason Simmons played a lot of made a lot of runs, thousands of runs at the top level, and you know, lots of country week presentations. And
watched him get taken out of a country week in a bloody ambulance. It was amazing.
Were you there?
I was there that day out at Croydon. Watched him get carried off the ground and loaded into an ambulance.
You would have been young.
Yeah, I was. I still remember
it. You would have been 15, I reckon.
Sounds right.
But yeah, so you know, we're talking a massive scalp here, massive scalp. And Sean at Menzies again off the long run, first ball to Simo. It actually bounced off Sean's toes and sat up in the air. Simo didn't know what to do with it and just poked his bat at it like it was fielding practice. Straight down Gully's throat, you reckon, Bill?
Gully, second slip, somewhere about there.
Mate, I could not believe my eyes, but the Premier bowler that we've got amongst us tonight got the big scalp of Big Simo off his first ball.
Don't pump his tyres up. They're already at about 120 PSI.
The best part of this is I told this story last episode, and now I've just had it corroborated. It's perfect.
Funky, I've got a very special topic that's close to my heart. Nearly every episode we touch on St John's, Tacoma. Everyone's got a St John's story. I don't know, they feel like they're the punching bag of the Ferntree Gully District Cricket Association. Shout out to Chang and the boys. Tell us your favourite St John's moment of your illustrious village cricket career.
Well, that's a tough question, Waltz. That's a real tough question for me. As I said, I've been in this comp 20 odd years. Do you know I've never played a game at Talaskia? Never played a game.
That's because they're too shit. They can't get up to Norm Reefs.
But even even in the lower, I've missed Talaskia. All I want to do is play on it. I reckon that's the only ground I'm a chance to hit a 6 on. But and then I'm still clutching at straws. But coming up against St John's, yeah, look, we've punched them up a few times, I must admit, particularly back in the day. Yeah, look, as I said, it's hard because I haven't played against them a lot. You know, you play against your Ferntree Gullies, haven't missed a year of playing against Belgrave, and, you know, your upper gullies. But for some reason, St John's, they were never around.
So what you're saying is St John's are irrelevant, really?
Oh, well, we did.
Ow! Shots fired.
We did beat them in a. Although we haven't played them much, we did beat them in a semi-final. Not last season, the season before, and
that sounds right.
It's fair to say that there was a fair bit of tension in the game from the home and away, and we got to the semi, and they were into us. They were right into us. One of their elder statesmen that's pretty well known throughout the comp I can't quite remember, Grenda or something like that. The old man, he was into me, well and truly into me. But yeah, look, it's fair. I was
Gary does love it. He loves a chat.
Yeah.
Gaz is a big fan of the chat.
He was a huge fan this day, and I got sucked in, and we didn't remember. You know, it was. You ever come across Andy, the umpire? Andy, he's a ripper. He's an absolute belter. He plays it by the book. He was in between me and Gary at one stage, and it's fair to say that there was no feelings. Our feelings were known towards one another, and the best part about it was we won. We're in the granny, and your season's over, boys.
So is it all Garys that you have issues with?
Well, Gary Peters. He and I butted heads a few times.
Yeah, do you just not like the name? Is it an issue? How do you feel about Gary Lyon?
Gary Lyon. I have met Gary Lyon. I've no hard feelings against Gary Lyon. Gary Peters, he's a good fella. He played real hard. Told you how he felt about things on the game, on the ground, especially when he was bowling.
He certainly does. He once. I watched him once tell a bloke from South Belgrave that he would jump over the fence and meet him behind the club rooms during the game, and we had to stop him from going over the fence. He loved it. The bloke had him by about 4 foot too.
The funny story about Gary was he and we went pretty hard at one another, but we always had a beer after the game. Like I always bought him a beer, he always bought me a beer. But when we were on the ground, it was whatever. It was, game on. The funniest part, years and years later, I played against his son, and I didn't know who it was. Well, fuck me dead. He's had a crack at me. He's had a red-hot fucking crack at me. And I said, who the fuck's this bloke? And someone from Belgrave says to me, it's Gary Peterson. I went, no fucking wonder.
Yep, Sasha loved it too. Still does.
He did.
Yeah.
Good. Great kid, though. Awesome kid.
Ripper. We did tell a story about him up at Monbulk High not too long ago of him bowling a nice little left arm innie and watching the bloke shoulder arms and stomping on the ball.
Oh, really?
It was a good one. What I've got here now, I've actually, hang on, just behind me here, got some a letter in from one of the viewers. It's from Jonathan of Belgrave, and he was wondering, have you ever seen Fraser in the shower? And if so, do you have pictures?
Johnny. I have seen Fraser in the shower. I've seen Fraser nude a lot, but I will admit that in lots of different environments, not just the shower, but the log cabin. And I don't have any pictures that I can share. Sorry, Johnny.
Disappointing for him.
I
don't know who that was from exactly.
I don't know. It remains a mystery. I reckon we could talk for hours, Bill. Funky's got a lot of good stories. We should probably create a mini segment story time with Funky and stories with Schlick. I think they've been our two favourite guests by far. We're probably going to wrap it up soon. I'll throw it to you, Bill, or to you, Funky. Give us one or two last anecdotes that you think are worth a shout out for the viewers, or something that either of you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, up to you, Bill.
You want to tell us how Bluey's going? He's obviously coming at the back end of a rough time.
Yeah, look, all jokes aside, Blue did it really hard for a while there. We love Blue. He's done so much for our club. His family, his family's been around our club for forever and ever. And yeah, Blue, at the ripe old age of 35 with 2 babies under 4, battled cancer, and he beat it, only for it to return. And he had to go over to Boston. It was his only hope to save his life. If he didn't get to Boston, he was going to die. But yeah, thankfully as a club and a community, we managed to scratch up the $100,000 that he needed to make it happen. And Yeah, he's just had his second 6-month test, and he's free. He's cured. So yeah, we're wrapped. We're hoping. He had a battle on his hands last summer with recovery, with what his body needed to do, and so forth. But we've got everything crossed that we might be able to get him back on the park this season.
That's awesome news.
Yeah, one or two games. But Belgrave were enormous. Belgrave, we really appreciate your support and your sentiments and all the initiatives that we ran. I love Belgrave. We've got I reckon Monty and Belgrave have got a really good reputation. And yeah, so the opportunity to thank you guys and speak about Blue and his recovery is much appreciated. And I really appreciate being on the show. It was a nice surprise when you invited me.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
On behalf of Pox and Bill and myself in the Cricket Club, I think it's great to end a bit of laughter and a bit of a silly show with something like that. I think it brings home back. We can have a joke about shitting your pants on the field or whatever you want, but at the end of the day, what we do as a community and as clubs together is beyond just what happens on the field. And I think it's a fantastic way to remind us all that look after your mates. Life's short, but also when Bluey gets back on the field, Bill's still going to bowl a bouncer at him. So there's
hell yeah
from him.
Mate, Bill, if you get to bowl him and you don't, I'd be really disappointed.
I think he would be too. I think the two of us have again butted heads along the way, but he's always been one of those blokes that I've always had a great time with, and again beers afterwards, and someone had to be the best of the Frasers.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. I can almost hear Blue and what he'd say if he did bowl it to you. If you did bowl him a bouncer, he'd say all you'd get from him is righto, mate. If that's the best you got, get on with it. That's about what he'll say.
That sounds right.
So.
It'd be probably fair. All right, lads.
Look forward to it.
Coming on, Funky. Bill, I'm just one last one. That background shit house. Don't rate it. Drop us a note in the comments on who you want to see on next episode, or if there's anything you want to hear us talk about. Thank you for tuning in. Johnny Lavelle, you are never coming on the show. Fact. Jason Fraser, you are also not coming on this show. Fact. And may as well chuck someone else in there. Bruns.
Well, Bruns can't. He's not coming on.
No.
But there is. Just get ready, guys. There's rumblings of a big guest coming. Just big guest. You're big, mate. This one is huge.
Yeah.
You're going to be sandwiched between some really big names. So keep your ear out. This one could be large.
Yeah.
Great work, boys. Heaps of fun. Good job. Good initiative. Hope it goes well.
Thanks, Funky.
Thanks, Funky.
See you guys.
Fox Bill Show.